Okay, I think we're recording.
Awesome. I'll wait till we hit 11 in case anyone else pops in.
Okay, does it show on your end that it started?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I am gonna turn off my camera and mic.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. And I will be respectful of everyone's time and we'll get started right at 11. Since we're recording it, we can always go back and take a peek at if we miss anything or if anyone else comes in. For everyone, my name is Ashley Whitaker. I am a dually certified speech language pathologist and behavior analyst and the speech director for Lighthouse Autism Center. And today I'm here to talk with you about our fusion program, basically our innovative synergistic approach to ABA therapy. We really are doing something that is pretty unheard of in our field and really exciting. So I can't wait to tell you all about it. So, what is Lighthouse Fusion? Lighthouse Fusion is an approach to ABA therapy that really combines all of the principles of behavior analysis with all of the aspects of speech therapy. And we take both of those um, professions and all of the education from both of those fields, and we put them together to ensure that all of our learners are getting the most out of their ABA therapy all the time. Lighthouse Fusion was created by a team of 4 dually certified board behavior analysts and speech language pathologists. Basically, as I was saying, we just wanted to really encompass the best features of speech in ABA. And there's not a lot of us. There's not a lot of dually certified speech language pathologists and board certified behavior analysts. There's only about 450 that exist in the entire world. So that's pretty exciting. They call them unicorns in that. So a very very fun area to be certified in both areas. So here's some components of the Lighthouse Fusion model. So we have the environment, the training, and the collaboration. Fusion is all 3 of these things put together. So the environment, it is our clinics are naturalistic, language-focused teaching environments, and we have curated materials that we've put together. It's not necessarily it has to be this specific item, but they're materials that we have found from our own experience working with our own children, working with our own clients, our own learners, that really they provide opportunities for eliciting some really fantastic opportunities for communication. And making sure that, we're kind of providing and offering lots of different materials for our learners. There is the training. So we provide specific training in speech production and instruction for all RBTs. All the registered behavior technicians that work for us receive this one-on-one training with us when we're working with that client to ensure that they're able to do the program targets that we want them to be working on throughout the whole week. And then our BCBAs are also in all of our sessions. So they're learning how to do the program targets as well. And they're learning how to elicit the speech sounds. And then the collaboration. So the collaborative speech consultation. What we do is the speech language pathologist is in a session with the behavior analyst, the RBT, and the client. So all four of us are in one session together, and we're all working together to ensure that maybe the behavior analyst has some really good ideas for new program targets that they would like to try. So I'll go ahead and try some of those. Then we decide, oh, this is a great target. Let's teach the RBT, the therapist, how to do this target, how to implement this target, and ensure that we're providing that client that opportunity for like I said, the entire therapy day. So I'm going to kind of go into each section a little bit deeper. Um, Learning environments. So we have a focus on interaction, movement, and communication. Our children are not assigned to an individual workspace. I know that that's kind of common practice in ABA, is that this learner has this desk and this is where their things are, and we have their most highly preferred toys and activities right here. We don't have that. What we do is the learner moves around the center throughout the whole day. And we have specialized rooms. So we have themed rooms where, we might have more of a focus on letters or rhyming, or we call some of them our speech rooms. So that's where we'll have some of those speech articulation cards, some things to kind of get some practicing in on some of our speech skills. We also have all of the rooms, their schedules or how the children move around the building kind of focus on their individualized goals. So we may have a learner who's really looking at practicing social language. So we might schedule them to be in a pretend play area with other learners that have similar social language as they do for a 30-minute or an hour-long block, something like that, to ensure that they are given an opportunity to work on their skills that they actually need to be working on. So they move around the center. And basically, we can kind of focus on different language skills in different areas of the building. The clinician training. So every clinician that we have receives training in speech production and prompting procedures. So what I like to think of my therapists, my RBTs are kind of my little speech language pathology assistants. So I really put my focus on teaching them how to implement my prompts, how to run the targets that we determine in our co-treat. We call our session a co-treat. We really make sure that they know exactly how to do everything we want them to do. That therapist is with the client for the whole day. So our goal with Fusion is that therapist is able to implement those program targets naturally throughout the day. A lot of our learners, I would say most of our learners, don't really do well with a sit down. Here's your 30-minute block to work on speech. We're working on these targets. Speech is really, really hard for a lot of our kids. And sometimes in a traditional direct service approach, that can get really dicey because the speech therapist can come, pick up the learner, and maybe the learner spends 20 of the 30 minutes in a problem behavior because, again, speech is really hard for our learners. And then when those 20 minutes are over, that 30-minute session's over, what have we really accomplished? If we only were able to spend 10 minutes kind of working on it, and then in that direct service approach, most of the time, those targets are not worked on the rest of the time, the rest of the day. They get 30 minutes with the speech therapist. That is their time. And then they're kind of done. The way that we do it here is they get however much time they need with us. We can spend an hour with them. We can spend 5 minutes to do a check-in. We can spend 20 minutes if we're adding some things. It just really depends on the learner's need. And then that RBT, that therapist, and that team is able to practice those skills in little bits throughout the whole day and then the whole rest of the week, even until they see us again. So that's, I think, something that is really, really unique to our program, really unique to Fusion. And then behavior analysts, they undergo intensive tiered training in a variety of therapeutic techniques. So basically, I think one of the really cool things about our program is that, I can come in, or our speech language pathologist can come in and say, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. And then maybe the client engages in a behavior that may be problematic, or maybe they do really well. I mean, this isn't always about um, challenging behavior. What our BCBAs bring to the table is that sometimes they might be able to see, oh, wow, look, they got that. And then we provided that reinforcement. And then they got to do it again and again and again. That was really cool to watch them succeed in that way. Our behavior analysts use their behavior analytic skills, and then of course the speech and language knowledge that we provide, and we really fuse these two disciplines together, and we form this transformative ABA treatment program. It's really been pretty remarkable to see the knowledge that the behavior analysts that I've been working with over the years have been able to carry over into other clients, and kind of get a jump on their speech and language before we maybe get a chance to sit down with them. And just because they're able to take the knowledge they learn from our speech sessions and apply it to their other clients. So, as I was kind of talking about before, we really focus on this collaborative approach. The speech language pathologist, the behavior analyst, and the direct therapist, or the registered behavior technician, they're present for the entire session. And we can, as I said, we can spend as much or as little time needed to work with this learner. So we're not really bound by minutes. We're not really bound by the insurance aspect of it, because as the speech language pathologist donates their time. So the behavior analyst is providing the billing for that learner, and the speech language pathologist is donating their time, which frees up a lot of opportunity. Because if I come in to see Johnny and Johnny's having, let's say, a bit of a challenging morning, we had a rough start to the day, and let's say our speech time is 8:30 or 9 a.m. and he's just not doing so well at that time. In a typical direct service model, I would probably just have an ineffective session, right? I would probably not really get to do too much with sweet Johnny. But in our infusion, in our approach, I can say, hey, BCBA, I see Johnny's not doing so hot. Do you want to go see another one of your kids? Or do you want to just come and see Johnny later? I can be flexible with my schedule. And the entire company can be that way, because we're providing these services. A lot of times, most of the time, we're providing them virtually as well. And we leave a couple of time slots in each day to ensure that, hey, this didn't work out so well in the morning. Would you like to follow up and do another consultation later? And of course, traditional ABA therapy historically has kept speech and language apart from ABA, and this can get really tricky, because the worlds of speech and ABA can look very different. I think, something that we have to consider is that a lot of times speech language pathologists don't agree with things that behavior analysts are perhaps recommending or doing. Behavior analysts may not agree with what a speech language pathologist would recommend. What I have found in these collaborations of the two is that this moment where maybe my speech language pathologist hat is not agreeing with the BCBA's perspective. Um, we form a relationship with each other and a space of trust so that our disagreeing can turn into growth and can turn into learning, and not turn into, well, the speech language pathologist is doing this and so we're just ignoring it and doing our own thing. And trust me, I've run into that as a duly certified SLP and BCBA. I've worked with other speech language pathologists who maybe aren't so keen on ABA or who don't have the outlook that I would necessarily have because I have this background in behavior analysis as well. And it just provides a really wonderful opportunity to educate and to um, collaborate and to kind of get some of these ideas and goals from each side and put them together and really come up with the best plan for that learner. And it really, we come up with these unified treatment plans where we're focused on working together to come up with goals for the learner and figure out the best way to provide that intervention and provide that the treatment for those programs. So I've really found, that this collaboration, the speech language pathologist working with the behavior analyst, it provides an optimal ABA therapy plan for each and every child that we work with. So some of our goals. So Lighthouse Fusion seeks to deliver the best outcomes to learners and their families through our synergistic and efficient ABA therapy model. We are efficient because, we can, as the SLP, can work with multiple learners, and provide training to multiple RBTs and multiple behavior analysts and really work together to ensure that these learners are getting exposure to their speech goals throughout the whole day and in natural environments, right? That's kind of the key point, is that I'm not just teaching a learner how to say go without the absence of in the absence of going somewhere or being able to go down a slide, or um, I'm really going to take this environment that we've created. I'm going to find an opportunity to prompt them to want to say go. Maybe I put the car at the top of the tower and I'm holding the car there, and I can use, some of our cues that we've taught that learner to say go, and then the car goes down the tower, and then that learner gets to play with the car and we have fun. And I'm using some skills. We call it play casting, where I'm talking about everything that's going on. Think like a sportscaster, but for play. So my learner's running up and down the slide. I'm saying things like, "Oh, you're running up this slide, stomp, stomp, stomp." Or we're playing a ball. I'm throwing the blue ball. I'm throwing it in the air. Basically, providing them with that bombardment of language. So they're just hearing everything all day long. And then on top of that, their therapist is constantly finding opportunities to embed the program targets that we've chosen for them into their daily routines. And it makes the language so functional, right? Again, if a learner is just practicing go in a closed room, that feels very different than if that learner is practicing, or let's say jump, right? Maybe the learner's practicing how to say the word jump. That's going to be really different. If we're on the trampoline and they get to jump, or I can jump with them when they say jump with all the sounds that we've taught them, that is very, very exciting and way more reinforcing for our learners than it would be to just kind of have that closed room, sitting at a table, going through speech cards model. So Lighthouse truly brings the best qualities of behavior analysis and speech therapy into one innovative and transformative ABA treatment option. I often say, I think what does make me what is a good quality about me being a speech language pathologist and a behavior analyst is that I often don't know which hat is which. I don't just take one off and say, okay, I'm a speech therapist now. I don't put my BCBA hat on. They're fused together at this point. I'm using the knowledge from both fields to provide the most innovative and most transformative interventions for the learner at this time and throughout our sessions. So yeah, that's kind of our shtick on fusion. I've seen some pretty amazing things happen with some learners, especially those who've come from other centers, other more traditional ABA centers, that we've really gotten and made some remarkable progress in the time that we've had them, simply due to these three key factors: that the learning environment being strong, the clinician training, those therapists having that background and knowledge, knowing the why, right? That's kind of a big thing. I often make sure I tell them in our sessions. I don't just tell them what to do and leave them. I say, do you want to know why we want to do this? Do you want to know why we tell them to stick their tongue out a little bit further for this particular sound? And then that therapist gets a little autonomy in their therapy, and they can say, oh, that's interesting, I have another learner who maybe could help with that. Like, or, well, you told me one time that this was the reason why you would do this, so I tried it and it worked. And that's been really cool too, to see the RBTs gain some confidence in their speech skills. And then, of course, that collaborative approach. So just everyone on the same team working together, goals that are aligned with each other, a unified treatment plan that truly is written by the behavior analyst, the SLP, and then utilizing, the RBT in the sessions as well. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions at all? You can ask me anything. Yes, Kim.
Hi. Yes, I'm a family outreach coordinator for Illinois Iowa Centers, and I want to validate what you said about so often I hear families tell me that their child goes to speech therapy, let's say 30 minutes twice a week, and they will say, however, they're getting nothing out of it. Or
Yeah.
they'll say the speech language therapist has actually said to them, I'm at a loss for how to help your child. So
Yeah.
I validate how you said that. But I do have a question. When how you mentioned many times, so forgive me because you kind of probably already answered this,
You're
but
fine.
when there's the collaboration with the speech and language therapist and the BCBA and the RBT, is the speech and language therapist ever meeting with the learner, or it's all done with the professionals and then they
Yes.
take it to the learner?
No, the learner is there. That is really key. Great point, Kim. That is key. The learner is there. And that's kind of what I love. That's really cool because it's an opportunity. I don't just tell them what they should do. We actually do it. We do it together. So if we're doing it virtually, I might say to that behavior analyst, okay, this is just one example. We're going to try and get this learner to say, they're already saying ah, so their vocal cords are on, they're making the noise. So let's do this. And so I might then teach the BCBA, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to put your hand on their face and you're going to just close their lip just a little bit, because they're already making the ah sound. So if I go I'm going to make that sound. That's going to give that learner a new consonant, right? And a new open the doors to new words, and new possibilities, because then we can take that sound, and then I might say, okay, now let's fast forward a week or 2 weeks. This learner has perfectly. Now I want to see if I can get a B. So now we know we have a ah and we know we have a. So I'm going to go like this, and and pull, and I'm going to teach the therapist how to do that with them. So again, we get a new vowel or a new consonant, excuse me. And now we have more words. We can maybe say ball or now, of course, I can't think of any other B word. Book. There we go. That's it. You only get a ball, I guess. So, yeah. So then that's opportunity in that session. We'll try it. And let's say for a particular learner, I say, okay, we're going to try this. We're going to put our finger here. And let's say that learner does not work. Okay, great. We can come up with a new plan in the moment. I always make sure that we leave our sessions with a plan. So even if that plan's not perfect today, and sometimes, it's weird for someone to help you touch your face, right? That's weird. When someone comes up to you and touches under your lip, that would feel weird. So sometimes we have to start that small. And that's where you turn on that behavior analytic approach, right? If I see that a learner's kind of struggling with that, I might say, hey, let's put in some face touching desensitization. Let's make it really fun. I'm going to go up and go like this and kind of touch their face so they get used to someone touching their face, because again, we're all adults. We know that's weird. If someone just came up to you and put their finger under your lip, you would be very taken back by that. And I always like to think of it as, that is our end. Yes, it's kind of weird sometimes that when we do that to our learners, but I always say, I always tell them, hey, I'm going to touch your face. And then I always read their cues, right? So we make sure that they're really not really fighting. Of course, it's okay if they show me they're a little uncomfortable with it. I might kind of try to play around with some things, but that's where then it's really helpful to have the RBT there, because of all the people there, the RBT is going to be probably the closest one with them, right? So sometimes that works beautifully where I can say, hey, RBT, you have a really good rapport with this learner. Why don't you try putting your hands there and help them get this new amazing sound that's going to open this door to communication? But they'll be a little bit more comfortable because it's you and they're already sitting in your lap and letting you put your hands all over them. But then when I try to do it, or when the behavior analyst tries to do it, it's kind of a no-go. So some kind of ideas on that, but that's kind of the beauty of it, is that I can look in a session, we can be in a session, and that learner is always there. And so they are receiving that direct therapy from us. But then the beautiful thing is they get to receive it hundreds more times throughout the week. It doesn't just end when our session's over. It goes into their program, and then that therapist is running it throughout the week. And then the next week when I meet up with that BCBA, I check in and say, hey, how was that program target that we put in last week? And we can kind of follow up on it and see if we need to tweak anything, or if everything's going beautifully, how can we move it forward? Yeah. Any other questions, thoughts, comments, anything? I'm happy to answer. Nothing? All right. Well, thank you all so very much. I'm really excited for what we've been doing with our Fusion co-treats. They have, they're really changing our learners' lives. And I think it's just been really cool to see the growth in communication. And that goes for all communication, not just vocal communication, but we target things like picture exchange systems and modified sign language and communication devices, things like that, because all communication is important. So kind of some of my examples today were the vocal ones, but just know, we are meeting the learner where they are, and we're giving them exactly what they need to be able to communicate in the way that is most efficient for them. So, all right. Well, thank you all.
Thank you. That was a lot of great information. Appreciate it.
Good. I'm so
Thank you.
glad.
Yes.
So glad. All right, Sydney, I'll stay on till you end the recording.
Okay, I think it should
Or
end
just
by
ends
itself
when we
once
all leave. Okay.
Yeah, and I plan to send it to Allison, but if anyone else wants it, I'd be happy to send that to them too. So just let me know.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sydney. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.